Today, we're diving into one of the most epic journeys in history, a story that bridges empires, transforms a man, and lays the very foundation of the Roman Catholic Church. We're talking about the incredible transformation of a simple fisherman from Galilee into the first pope in Rome. This isn't just a story of faith. It's a tale of doubt, courage, and a journey of thousands of miles that changed the world forever. So, how did a man named Simon, who once denied even knowing Jesus, end up as Saint Peter, the rock upon which the church was built? Let's find out. Our story begins not in the grand halls of Rome, but on the shores of the Sea of Galilee, in ancient Israel. Here lived a man named Simon. He wasn't a scholar, a priest, or a nobleman. He was a fisherman, working with his brother Andrew. His life was one of hard labor, casting nets, mending them, and selling his catch. It was a simple, rugged existence, defined by the rhythm of the tides and the uncertainty of the daily catch. He was married, a family man, likely expecting his life to follow the same path as his father and grandfather before him. He was known for being impulsive, passionate, and sometimes a bit rough around the edges, a man of action rather than words. This ordinary man was about to have an extraordinary encounter. One day, while Simon was washing his nets, a charismatic teacher and preacher named Jesus of Nazareth approached him. Jesus stepped into Simon's boat and asked him to put out a little from the shore, so he could teach the crowds that had gathered. After he finished speaking, he told Simon to go out into the deep water and let down his nets for a catch. Simon was skeptical. He and his partners had been fishing all night and caught absolutely nothing. He was the expert fisherman here, but something about this man compelled him to obey. He said, "Master, we've worked hard all night and haven't caught anything. But because you say so, I will let down the nets." What happened next was nothing short of miraculous. The nets were so full of fish they began to break. Simon had to call his partners, James and John, to help haul in the incredible catch. The boats were so full they nearly sank. In that moment, faced with a power he couldn't comprehend, Simon fell to his knees. He was overwhelmed, not just by the abundance of fish, but by a profound sense of his own unworthiness. He said, "Go away from me, Lord, I am a sinful man." But Jesus responded with a life-altering prophecy. "Don't be afraid. From now on you will fish for people." At that moment, Simon, along with Andrew, James, and John, left their nets, their boats, and their old lives behind to follow him. It was during this time that Jesus gave Simon a new name, Peter, which comes from the Aramaic word Cephas and the Greek Petros, both meaning rock. This wasn't just a nickname. It was a declaration of Peter's future role. Jesus famously said, "And I tell you that you are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church, and the gates of Hades will not overcome it. I will give you the keys of the kingdom of heaven." This was a monumental statement. This impulsive fisherman was being designated as the foundation stone of a new spiritual community. He was given the symbolic keys, representing authority to lead and guide the burgeoning group of followers. But being the rock didn't mean Peter was perfect. Far from it. His journey was filled with stumbles. He was the one who tried to walk on water, only to sink when his faith wavered. He was the one who, during the Last Supper, boldly declared he would never desert Jesus. Yet, just hours later, in the courtyard of the high priest, overcome by fear, he denied knowing Jesus not once, not twice, but 3 times. The sound of the rooster crowing broke his heart, and the Bible says he went outside and wept bitterly. This moment of profound failure is crucial to understanding Peter. It showed his humanity, his weakness, and the immense gap between his intentions and his actions. But it wasn't the end of his story. After the resurrection, one of the most touching scenes in the Gospels takes place. Jesus appears to the disciples by the Sea of Galilee, right back where it all started. After sharing a meal, Jesus turns to Peter. 3 times, he asks him, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" Each time, Peter affirms his love, his voice perhaps growing more pained with each question, as it mirrored his 3 denials. And each time, Jesus gives him a command: "Feed my lambs, take care of my sheep, feed my sheep." This was Peter's restoration. His 3-fold denial was met with a 3-fold commission to lead. The failure was not final. It was a lesson in humility that would shape him into the leader he needed to be. Following Jesus' ascension, Peter stepped fully into this leadership role. On the day of Pentecost in Jerusalem, it was Peter who stood up and gave the first public sermon, boldly proclaiming the message of Jesus to thousands. The man who once cowered in fear was now a fearless orator, empowered by a newfound conviction. He became the undisputed head of the early Christian community in Jerusalem, performing miracles, making key decisions, and guiding the fledgling church through its initial, perilous years. He presided over the Council of Jerusalem, which made the crucial decision to allow non-Jews, or Gentiles, to join the faith without having to follow all Jewish laws a move. That opened the door for Christianity to become a worldwide religion. But Peter's mission wasn't confined to Jerusalem. He became an itinerant missionary, traveling throughout the regions of Judea, Samaria, and beyond. We have accounts of him in places like Lydda, Joppa, and most significantly, in Antioch. Antioch, in modern-day Turkey, was a major city of the Roman Empire and became a vital early center for Christianity. It was here, in fact, that followers of Jesus were first called Christians. Tradition holds that Peter served as the leader of the church in Antioch for several years, establishing it as a major hub before continuing his journey westward. His path was leading him, inexorably, toward the very heart of the empire that had executed his master. The final and most significant chapter of Peter's journey is his arrival in Rome. While the Bible doesn't give a detailed travelogue, early Christian writers and strong, persistent tradition from the 1st and 2nd centuries place Peter in the imperial capital. Why Rome? Rome was the center of the known world, the Caput Mundi. If the Christian message was to reach all corners of the earth, establishing a presence in Rome was essential. It was the ultimate stage. Arriving there sometime in the mid-1st century, Peter would have found a city of immense power, wealth, and spiritual diversity, but also one deeply suspicious of new, exclusive religions like Christianity. Life for Christians in Rome was dangerous. They were a minority sect, often misunderstood and viewed as a strange and subversive cult. Peter's work there was likely done discreetly, leading a growing community, teaching, and strengthening their faith in the face of potential persecution. He wasn't a pope in the modern sense, with palaces and elaborate ceremonies. He was an underground leader, a pastor to a flock living under constant threat. That threat became terrifyingly real under the reign of Emperor Nero. In 64 AD, a great fire devastated Rome. Seeking a scapegoat to deflect rumors that he had started the fire himself, Nero blamed the Christians. This unleashed a brutal and systematic persecution. Christians were arrested, tortured, and executed in horrific ways for public spectacle. According to ancient tradition, this is when Peter met his end. The story goes that when he was sentenced to be crucified, he made one final, humble request. Feeling unworthy to die in the same manner as Jesus, he asked to be crucified upside down. Archaeology adds a fascinating layer to this story. Excavations under St. Peter's Basilica in the Vatican have revealed a 1st century Roman cemetery on Vatican Hill. In the midst of these tombs, archaeologists discovered a simple shrine, built around the year 160 AD, directly over one specific grave. This grave was believed by early Christians to be the resting place of Peter. Inscriptions found nearby, scrawled by early pilgrims, read Petros Ini, or Peter is here. In the 1960s, the bones of a man in his 60s, consistent with the age and time of Peter's death, were found in this location. While we can never be 100% certain, the convergence of literary tradition and archaeological evidence is incredibly compelling. The Great Basilica, the center of the Catholic world, was built quite literally upon the traditional burial site of that fisherman from Galilee. So, the journey was complete. Simon the fisherman, who became Peter the Rock, who denied his Lord and was restored, who led the early church in Jerusalem and Antioch, finally reached Rome. His death there as a martyr solidified his status and cemented the importance of the Roman Church. In the centuries that followed, the Bishop of Rome, seen as Peter's successor, gradually gained primacy over other bishops, inheriting the authority of the keys to the kingdom. Peter never wore a papal tiara or called himself pope, but his life, his mission, and his martyrdom in Rome are the historical and theological foundation upon which the papacy was built. It is an incredible story of how one ordinary person as yes can echo through eternity. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as I do, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into history. Let me know in the comments what you think about Peter's epic journey. We'll see you in the next one.